Hello, and welcome to the Tree of Life and the Vine of Truth. Today's 7-Eleven series has actually been delayed quite a while now, so I do want to apologize to all those who are following quite rapidly. I ended up getting a new job here with the Meraki Solutions. Sorry, I got it backwards on the camera right now, but for those of you who don't know, working in a secular job may also be what God has planned for you. So if you feel like being surrounded by co-workers who are constantly cussing or talking about ill-gotten things, you don't have to associate with those people. You just have to work with them. So just because there's a lot of people in your line of work that might be possibly persuading you to act a different way, you do not have to socialize with them in a personal level if it's not pertaining to the Lord Almighty. So God puts us into situations where He is in control. And when He's in control, there's nobody better to have in your corner. Because at the end of the day, if it's meant to work out, God will make it work out. So that's kind of what we were reading today about my wife and I. We were reading over in Matthew. That'll be probably around chapter 19 through 20. It started going off about Jesus and the Pharisees and the Sadducees. So the Pharisees and Sadducees, they're pretty much the higher up priests who at that time were trying to attack Jesus verbally. They were coming up with all kinds of different questions, putting him under pressure, making him demand the answers from him immediately. So Jesus finally got sick of this, and he tells him, the last one of them, he tells him, well, I'm not going to answer your question unless you answer one question of mine. And the question Jesus had for them was, who do you say is the Father of Christ? So, of course, in the Old Testament, it talks about the coming of Christ. And the Bible, and the way it was written back then, said that the lineage of Christ is going to be from the loins of David. Okay? So everybody knew that King David, down the line somewhere, the son of David was going to be the Son of Man, which was also going to be the Christ. Now, the people who believed that they were already talking to the Christ, they were in these big multitudes. They were the ones that were following Jesus. You heard of Jesus feeding the 5,000, feeding the 4,000. Well, whenever he was doing these miracles, the people that were following him were massive groups, and they were walking. Everybody was walking. So when Jesus was performing all these miracles, the times that he had to rest, and because he was a man, he was flesh, he still had to eat, he still had to sleep, he still had to rest. He got tired like we did. And being that he's the Almighty, during the time that he had to rest, here comes Satan, bringing along the priests and the Sadducees and the Pharisees to tempt him and test him and try to trip him up in his words. So they asked him, well, who do you pay tribute to? And he said, this is a trick question. Why are you trying to trick me? You evildoers, bring me your tribute money right now. And so they brought him a penny. And he said, well, whose face is on this penny? And they said, it's Caesar's. He said, then render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's. And that kind of just shut everybody up. But the Sadducees had heard of that, and that's when they came and they interrogated him one more time. Who gives you the authority to do all these miracles? And where did you get this authority from? So, those two questions are pretty much the same answer. We all know that it came from God, but Jesus, being the almighty, wise God, King, Father of all that he is, he turned around and he asked them, okay, well, that was the question I had brought up about David. All right, who is the father of Christ? All right, and whenever they said a man's name, David, then Jesus threw back at them, okay, well, if David was a man, and he as a man, as a king, written down in history, it has him praying to God, the Lord of all. He prayed to God and asked God for answers, and God being the God the father of Jacob, God the father of Abraham, God the father of David, he said that God's the father of living, not the dead. So why then, if Christ is going to be the son of David, then why would David be praying Father to his Son. Father, give me the answers. Father, this. Lord, that. And everybody just kind of stopped and marveled at what Jesus had to say. And that was the last thing they said. So, you know, that just goes to show me. I had a little incident with my work where I had to go around. We have to knock doors, okay? And by knocking doors, we get proposals on the people who qualify for our program, which is to get $0 down on their solar panels. Now, of course, it all sounds too good to be true. That's why not very many people actually get through the qualification process. But being that we are mostly spending our time knocking, I also have to attend meetings daily. Well, I have not been given very good instructions on what days and times these meetings that are mandatory are, and I kind of slipped up and missed one today, and I was under intense interrogation of cussing and yelling, and I was about ready to, you know, just put aside all the blessings God gave me with this job. And to be honest, it's been pretty rough training, but I know it's going to work out. So I was trying to figure out what was going on. And, you know, the verse of the day tells us that we need to wear every day the full armor of God, for we should never be comfortable in this world. It is the devil's world. And in Ephesians, it tells us we need to every day wear the armor of God for our protection. Once you are saved, some people think that it's going to be uphill from there. In fact, most cases it's going to be even harder. The devil is going to try to get you new believers because he wants you to turn away immediately and go backwards and backslide. But it also is hard for long-time believers because you start to get in this comfortable state where you just want to live in the tabernacle. So there's examples of this all over the Bible, but you know, today we'll just resonate on the Matthew and meditate on his word. And thank you for giving me your time. For those of you who would like to learn a little more about becoming a Christian and becoming saved, watch my first videos or contact me. You know, just spreading the word is the best way to get more involved with Christ. So here's my daughter. I promised she'd say hello. Say hello. And here's Teddy Bear. Hi. Hey. He's wearing his binky. He shouldn't be wearing it in the daytime. But thank you for your attention. You have a wonderful day. God bless.